Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the FrostBytez gaming experience, part number 10 of the Pokemon Emerald walkthrough. And boy, what a crazy day we have, not in the terms of the video, but just in what's going on in reality. For starters, we're in the early portions of May, and it is currently, well, it stopped snowing, but it was like a full blizzard outside where I live, like the second week of May, and already we're dealing with blizzards still. It's gonna melt like instantly, because in the next 3 days it's going to be up into the 70s. But my god, can this stop already? Winter ended long time ago. But that's just kind of what I guess is expected, considering the fact that I live in an area that it's like 9 months of snow and 3 months of summer. Well, I guess 1 month of every other, season. So we have 9 months of winter, then we have 1 spring, 1 summer, 1 fall, and then back to 9 months of winter. Though, to be fair, it has been a lot better in recent years, but when I was a kid, it actually used to be exactly that way. But not only that, but then, of course, I wake up to my buddy James sending me a hilarious text that then turned a little unhilarious the more I read up on it, and was like, oh, that's actually not really a funny thing on the whole entire pro-Jared drama that's currently going on. I'm not going to go into it. I stay away from essentially what I call YouTube politics or YouTube drama or anything like that. I tend to just to focus on my own channel. I'm just going to say this, though. That guy always gave me a weird feel. There's just something off about him, in my opinion. And now I can see that my senses were exactly right. So I'm still really good at judging if people are not exactly quite all there. And I'm kind of just going to leave it on that. If you want to read up all about it, go on Twitter. It's blowing up with it like crazy. My god. But anyways, to actual Pokemon ordeals, all this episode really is we're going to be checking out all of Route 117. And majority of why all we can do is Route 117 is because of these breeders. We're going to run into 2 of them, and they have a total of 6 Pokemon with them that are the Pokemon that they are essentially raising, and, just wants to test out their mettle against us. Fantastic. It also makes sense having this here, considering the fact that Route 17 is also the same route, where if you saw when I went against the junior and senior schoolgirl trainers, to the north of there, you just saw a bunch of Pokemon in like a field-looking ordeal. That was the daycare center. So it makes sense to go against breeders in this area, because they're right next to the daycare that I assume they basically work at, and just, are trying to get particular Pokemon bred, I guess. I don't know. When you put it that way, it sounds like bread made out of Pokemon. Pokemon bread, now on sale for $2.99. Get your Pikachu variant right now. It has a spark in every single bite. I cannot believe I just said that. Get it now. Maybe I can... I'm not going to go on my way and make some kind of crazy editorial for that, because... I don't know why. When it comes to my Pokemon walkthrough videos, I try not to go too edit heavy. I think the most I ever did was the Fuck Yeah Sea King and Gen 2, when I did the Pokemon Gold walkthrough, when I was still relatively new to video editing anyways, and that was one of the easier edits to do, because back then I was doing it with Windows Movie Maker, if you can believe that. Yeah, all of my earlier, before, oh man, what year would I say? I would say everything I did before 2014, maybe more like 2015, I'm not exactly sure. Everything that I did, Game Boy wise, was 100% done through Windows Movie Maker. 100%. My Dragon Ball Z Boost Fury run, my Pokemon Gold run. Geez, what else did I do? I think after that, I think those were the only 2 that I had kept. I think there's some other ones that I tried doing, but I ended up getting rid of after a while. But yeah, at that point in time, all I had to work with was Windows Movie Maker. God, it's so weird to think about back to those days. But because I could only do so much editing with it, the most editing, quote unquote, that I could do was throwing in the hilarious little pictures of Sea King, with the Fuck Yeah Sea King and whatnot. But outside of that, I try to keep these runs clean. Other Let's Plays that I do, I try to look to add in some things here and there if I think it's deemed appropriable. You guys know me, I don't go too much out of my way to over-edit things when it comes to my videos. I try to make it so that the commentary in the videos is just, it speaks for itself. Some of it's because I don't really have the time to put too much editing into my videos, but I feel like it distracts a little too much. I try to add some every now and then if I think, okay, it'd be really funny. Phoenix Wright being one of the bigger ones, because, there's some little hilarious things you can add into there based on what me and James say, or, based on what the character is doing in the game itself. But aside from that, you know, if I do too much editing, I feel like I'm taking away from what people are here for in the first place, and especially when it comes to Pokemon games, where people are mostly here for the Pokemon. You know, I don't want to take away from that. If I feel like there's an edit that needs to be done, you know, or just adds a little bit but not too much to the video, then I'll go ahead and do that. But I never want to take away from the core of what the, you know, the Pokemon walkthrough is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a simple walkthrough, me playing the game, showing where things are. I don't want it to be like, oh, and this is where I do all these millions of edits, where it's like a 20-minute video and 5 minutes of it are random edits, you know? And that's just my own personality, I guess, because then when I go my way and watch other videos on YouTube and I see things that are over-edited, it kind of takes me away from it. If like one thing per video is edited in and it fits and it's funny, fantastic. But I see some where it's like, it feels like there's 3 edits in every single part of a Let's Play or any kind of video for that matter. And even if all 3 of them are funny and do fit, in some cases I feel like, okay, now we're just distracting way too much. It feels like at timeouts in sports. You know, if you're watching basketball, especially with recently, you know, all of the NBA finals going on, where like the last 2 minutes can take up to like 30 minutes to be done because of how many fouls there are, how many timeouts there are, and it really brings such a slowdown, which should be the most exciting part of it, but to me, I feel like it slows it down so much that I'm like, I don't care about watching anymore. By the way, Random Wild Battle, we forgot where those were like, right? Didn't really want to pop a repel just for one area of grass, but then I do it when we get into the cave later on, because yeah, we're going back to, what was it, Rusturf Tunnel? And we'll go over that once we get into that. But again, I always felt like it just took a little bit. It takes a lot from the game when there's too many timeouts, too many fouls. That's the biggest problem going on with football right now, is that there's too many penalties, too many flags being thrown. Though I do admit that last year it was kind of slowed down a little bit. By the way, I accidentally hit double kick on when going against Dustox. I just got too used to just constantly tapping A that I forgot to hit right to go to Ember, so that was 100% my fault. I wasn't because I thought I could two-hit kick him. I just completely blacked out and was like, oh yeah, I gotta use another move, haha. But yeah, so I feel like edits are like timeouts or commercials where it's just, it stops the momentum of what the video is. I try my best to not stop the momentum as best as possible. Or if I'm adding something, I'm adding it during the video so that once again, you know, I'm not going to cut it, go to something else for like 30 seconds and then come right back. I've seen some Let's Play channels, and just channels in general, even like review channels, do that, and I dislike them so much. It's just personally not for me. But let's get back to the Pokemon aspect of it, because we are now leaving Route 117, but we will be tracking back through it, so I guess it works all the same. We got one more fight anyways, but let's go over the stats of what you can run into when going through Route number 117. In the Ruby Sapphire versions, you have a 10% chance to run to an Oddish, or in the Emerald version, you have a 40% chance for the said Oddish. In all 3 versions, you have a 10% chance to run to a Marill, 30% chance in the Emerald version for a Poochyena, with a 30% chance in the Ruby Sapphire version running into a Zigzagoon. 1% chance you can run into a Seedot in the Emerald version, with a 1% chance of running into a Surskit in the Ruby and Sapphire version. Is that right, Surskit? Let's see here. Surskit. Yeah, that sounds about right. Anyways, 1% chance in the Ruby Emerald version of running into a Volbeat, with a 18% chance in the Sapphire version, and an 18% chance to run into a Illumise, I think. Ruby Emerald version with 1% chance in the Sapphire version, and a 30% chance to run into a Roselia in the Ruby and Sapphire version. Again, names, what are they? I don't know. I don't care. If you are surfing, you have a 1% chance in the Emerald version of running into a Goldeen, with a 1% chance of running into a Surskit in the Ruby Sapphire version, and a 99% chance you're going to run into a Marill in all 3 versions. While fishing, 30% chance for a Goldeen and a 70% chance for a Magikarp with the old rod, 20% chance for a Goldeen, 60% chance for a Magikarp, and 20% chance for a Corphish. I think that's, yeah, a Corphish with the good rod, and a 100% chance for a Corphish with the super rod. This is also another area where the swarms can happen. In the Ruby and Sapphire version, you have a 50% chance of running into a Surskit if there's a swarm, and in the Emerald version, it is a 50% chance for a Seedot when there's a swarm going on. Yeah, Corphish. All right, so that's Corphish, Volbeat, and Illumise. I guess. I don't know. I'm sorry. I mostly know Gens 1 and 2. But when it came to Gen 3 onward, I just never cared for what they were called because half the time they weren't on my team. You wouldn't catch me using a Volbeat, an Illumise, or a Surskit, or a Corphish. You know, which it looks like Corp-ish. But it's supposed to be core fish, I guess. I don't know. It's a stupid looking lobster. It's supposed to be a crabby, but it's a lobster. Whatever. I don't even care. We have ourselves a second battle tent kind of thing. You just get yourself a quick attract, and then later on we'll showcase, you know, actually beating them. Because there is an item you get for, you know, beating the tents, I guess even just once. So, you know, we'll go back and we'll check that out. At some point. I don't know exactly when. Maybe when I have a really strong team or something. But for right now, I kind of just want to, you know, that to me is more the extra stuff to get other items that, in a lot of cases right now, we don't really need. Anyways, we find ourselves the black glasses. You talked to this gentleman before, and he says he's trying to find his sunglasses, or just his glasses in general, even though he was wearing them the whole time, but whatever. Says he couldn't find his glasses. Can you help with finding them? And they're just hidden in that one little pixel on the final far right tree on the left side of it. And then when you talk to him afterwards, he says, oh, well, I guess I didn't leave my glasses here, and runs away. Which, once again, in the pixel, you can tell he is wearing his glasses. So he lost his glasses just on his own face. Good for him. Only trainer you're going to be going in the entirety of Rusturf Tunnel. This hiker, he has 2 Geodudes and 1 Machop. That's really about it. Rusturf is the second half that connected routes number 117 and 116. And that's really all there is to it. We're going to be using Rock Smash to destroy the rocks that we couldn't remove before. I didn't really showcase it before because we couldn't go that way anyways, but if you tried to go through Rusturf Tunnel beforehand, you would see some rocks blocking your path, and I think if you clicked on it or talked to the dude, it'll say, oh, you know, we can't get through here because these rocks are in the way. Well, now we have a means to do that now that we have Rock Smash and have the badge that allows us to use Rock Smash outside, and Porkumbuskin, you know... We needed someone to be the HM bitch of Rock Smash, and for now we're going to choose for it to be him. Maybe I'll change it later on, but the way I saw it was, you know, with Peck, I'm not getting the stab with it, being him not being a flying type, and at least I'm getting a stab with Rock Smash, so even though it is weaker in its power, I will still get more out of it technically than I would with Peck. You know, I don't have coverage anymore, but I don't necessarily, when it comes to this, you know, again, it's not competitive, so I don't really need coverage all that much. I just need something that can just one-hit KO everything at some point. Anyways, this guy's so happy that we destroyed the boulder that he gives us the HM Strength, which is a little bit weird because now, when you think about it, shouldn't Strength... I mean, I know game-wise you got to code it differently, so there's different parts of the map that you can explore and whatnot, but... couldn't he just teach one of his Pokemon the move Strength and use that to move? I mean, if the rock is small enough that we can use Rock Break to break it, wouldn't he be able to teach a Pokemon Strength to be able to pull it and throw it? And that's just me. I don't know. But anyways, I'm glad Rock Smash ended up becoming a move that was more of a TM and only needed for, like, you know, if you wanted to break rocks to find extra stuff, items, Pokemon, and whatnot. And that it wasn't you know, because all Rock Break really is just another cut. You know, rocks are just the cave versions, or sometimes even outside are just extra trees. You could just have them being trees, or just have it be Strength in the first place. There wasn't really a reason to make Rock Smash an HM move, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the only generation where Rock Smash is an HM move, and I think Gen 4 onward, they turn Rock Smash into more of a TM move, where you can use it for an extra benefit, and not something that you need to progress further. I don't know. But that's it. That's the entirety of route number 117 and the second half of Rusturf Tunnel. And again, if you go on the other side and talk to that one guy, he will give you a repeat ball. Basically, if you already caught a Pokemon, it ups the chance of you catching another one that you've already caught before. So I think the more you catch of one, it's either the more that you catch of one, you have a higher chance of catching more using the repeat ball, or it's one where the more Pokeballs you use, the repeat ball has a higher chance of catching. But I think that's a timer ball. There's different type of Pokeballs. We'll go over all of them once we get to them. But hey, that's it for the part. Enjoy the rest of your evenings, ladies and gentlemen. We'll catch you all in the next part.